Hi guys, my name is Jason Fernandez and my matrix number is 162584, and today I'm going to make a presentation about dialect discrimination and how it affects language use in society, and particularly about Malay language. So what is dialect discrimination? So Bell basically says dialect discrimination refers to the unequal treatment of those whose dialect contains linguistic features identifying them with a certain geographical or social group. It is connected with linguistic discrimination and linguistic racism. It basically means someone is prejudiced, a prejudice against the way certain people speak based on their geographical and social context. So how it affects the language use in society. So we will look into 5 impacts. So the first one is social status. So certain dialects are often perceived as more prestigious, and others are perceived as more non-prestigious or low class. So for example, people from regions people from other regions might stereotype Kelantanese speakers as unrefined or kampong, which is rural, impacting their social interactions with other people, and that can be very evident in this day and age. And the second one is education and employment. So dialect discrimination can impact educational and employment as well. So in schools, children will speak non-standard version of Malay, which is, it could be a Utara accent or it could be Johorian accent, and the teachers might encourage them to dilute their accent so that they can fit better, or they might even get peer pressured into speaking standardized version of Malay, or they might get ridiculed by their peers. And for employment, and let's say you're entering a job interview or a university interview, in the interview you can't really speak your regional dialects. You are pretty much encouraged to speak the standard Malay version in Malaysia, so that could also be um, a form of dialect discrimination. And the third one is cultural identity. So discrimination against certain dialects can lead to devaluation of a culture and tradition. So for example, in Johor, local festivals such as Kuda Kepang dance involve the use of Johorian Malay. So the Johorian Malay is very much associated with Kuda Kepang. So however, the younger participants who participate in Kuda Kepang, they are encouraged to speak in more of a standard version of Malay, so that it appeals to a wider audience, and a lot of people in Malaysia can enjoy it. But even though a lot of people can enjoy it, it kind of dilutes down the culture and the heritage of this of Kuda Kepang, because it is not associated with the Johorian accent anymore, since it is used with standard form of Malay. And the next one could be a psychological impact. So speaker might generally experience low self-esteem, a sense of inferiority. So for example, if someone, for example, is urban migration. So for, let's say, someone from Kelantan or Terengganu moving to Kuala Lumpur to find better jobs, so they might feel pressure to adopt the standard Malay accent to fit socially and professionally, and over time they might abandon their Kelantan or Terengganu accent. And finally is linguistics diversity and richness. So dialect discrimination also kills linguistic diversity and richness, because dialect discrimination basically means it's there is a homogenization of language, which means there's a uniformity, so everyone speaks the same language throughout the whole Malaysia, and it is considered as the standard. So for example, broadcasting systems, so radio stations in Malaysia like Hot FM, or any other Malay FMs, they usually predominantly use the standard Malay accent in their broadcast, which kind of like reinforces the fact that like standard Malay is much more prestigious, or like the correct version of speaking. And on top of that, we can talk about publishing industry. So books and literatures are often published in standard Malay to reach wider audience. So if a book is written in a Kedahan accent or a Pahang accent, not accent, dialect. If it was written in a Kedahan dialect or a Pahang dialect, it probably would not be encouraged to publish, or it would be encouraged to translate it to more of a standard version of Malay so that it can be published. And the last one would be very much obvious, which is media representation. So local TV dramas and films in Malaysia predominantly feature characters speaking standard Malay. So it can, even though it is standard, but most of the Malay dramas that get featured in TV Tiga, they do speak standard version of Malay, which also can lead to dialect discrimination. So what we can do as a society to prevent this? So the efforts that we can do is we can make cultural festivals. For example, in Penang, there we have something called the Penang Pesta, or it's also called the Georgetown Fiesta. So an annual cultural festival that includes performances and storytelling in Penang Malay language. And second could be academic researches or documentation. So universities like UKM actually conducted a lot of researches and published works on various Malay dialects and documented their vocabulary, grammar, and also usage. And that could also be create some kind of documentation for us to refer to. And the last one would be a social media campaign. So initiatives on platforms like Instagram or TikTok, where influencers and activists share content on various Malay dialects, help normalize the use of these dialects in everyday conversation. So when we scroll through social media and we see them more and more, it kind of like get we kind of like, it reduces the stigma, it raises awareness, and it also helps it to normalize it. So in conclusion, recognizing and addressing these biases and how it impacts the language used in society is very crucial for fostering an inclusive society that values linguistic diversity and promotes equal opportunities to all dialect speakers. So efforts to raise awareness, educate the public, and also celebrate the dialectal diversity can help mitigate the adverse effects of dialect discrimination. So in the end, we should celebrate the dialectal diversity that Malaysia has instead of discriminating it or being prejudiced over it. And this is the references I've used, and thank you very much.